any problem occur, a try block is running, and during execution of a try block, there is an abnormal situation occurring. So depending on the type of problem, there is a corresponding class. The object of that class is created, right? And the control is transferred to except block. Now in except block, if you want the reference of that object, you understanding? In a try block, execution is going on. During execution, at any point, if suppose some abnormal thing is occurring, right? So depending on the problem, its corresponding class object is created, isn't it? Because I told you, for every type of problem, Python has done the listing, and the listing is done, and for every problem there is a corresponding class. So depending on the problem, corresponding class, its object is created by your Python runtime environment, and the control is transferred to except. But in except, if you want the reference of that object, then what to do, that syntax I'm going to tell you now. Getting? So except with exception variable. See. So when exception occurs in a try block, during execution of the try block, some abnormal thing occurs. Then what happens? Depending on the type of problem, whatever the problem is, its corresponding class object is created. Getting? See, implicitly an object of respective exception type is created. Okay? And the control is passed to the except block. Now in that except block, if you want to receive the reference of that object, then use the following syntax. See, this object is passed to except block. If you want reference of that object in the except block, use following try except syntax. Very simple. Try your try block, except exception type as, and then the name of the variable. Correct? So in this variable, what will be received? The reference of that exception object. Whichever exception has occurred, its reference will be received here. And then if you want, you can access its methods also. Getting? Like if you pass this e only to print, so it will give call to its dunder method double underscore str double underscore. Okay? See. So just an example I have given, or here only quickly I will tell you. Try. I'm accepting two inputs from user. Okay? And then you are displaying the division of it, a by b. If you want, you can put one statement, print before division, print after division. Okay? And here in except, I am receiving it in the base type only. If you want, you can give the specific types also. So here I have written the base type. Base type means it is the parent of all types of exception. So let the exception raised be type error, let the exception be value error, whatever, let the exception be division by zero error, whatever, all the types will be coming here only. Why? Because exception is parent of all type. But whatever type of exception is generated, its corresponding class object is created, and that object reference come in E. So E will receive the reference of it. Okay? And suppose that E only I am passing to print. So when I pass E to print, it will give call to its dunder method, which will give the description which normally PVM displays. When you don't handle it, who takes the care of it? PVM. So when PVM displays the description, the same description will come here. Getting? Now if everything is fine, no problem. Before division, quotient, after division. But suppose if there is a problem, like you're giving 8 and the second argument 0. So before division will come, and when it tries to do the division a by b, so it is 0 division error. Getting or no? So division by 0, division by 0 error occurs. Getting 0 division error. So that class object is created and the control is transferred here, and that class object reference coming E. Getting? See. Division by 0. This is the description which PVM also displays. No? See, if you write 5 by 0, is it the description which PVM also displays? Getting or no? The same thing here. That description is coming here. Now, this was for 0 division. Suppose, for example, you are giving 8 and second you are giving RAM. So it cannot convert RAM to integer. So it will generate value error. Here only value error will come, and the control will come to accept, and the reference of that value error object will come in E. See. And does it give the same description? Suppose I'm writing int RAM. Does it give the same description? Invalid literal for int with base 10 RAM. The same description, this str return, the dunder method, which in Java we do it by get message. There is a method called get message, and it describes the same thing which you get it here. Okay? See. 8 by 0, 0 division occurred, directly the control has come to except block, right? Okay, so I hope you got it, right? Then suppose for some group of exceptions, there are some selected exception, for them you want to handle it in one except block only. Like you have handled some 10 exceptions, okay? You have handled it. From that 3 exceptions, I want to handle common only. Getting? So 10 different exceptions you have handled, but from that 3 specific exceptions are there that I don't want to handle separately. I want to handle them collectively. So that too provision Python has given. So when you write except, so in bracket, you give the list of all the exceptions which you want to handle there. Getting? So when you write here except block, except, so here only in round bracket, you give the list of all the exceptions which you are going to handle in that except block. So in that except block, only those exceptions which are listed will be handled. Getting? Like here in the bracket, if I write 0 division error and then value error, that's all. So only those 2 exceptions will be handled in this except block. Anything other won't be handled. Getting? So such provision also Python has given. See. We can tell one except block to handle multiple exceptions. Getting? So many exceptions you are handling, but some selected exceptions you want to handle it common. Getting? Means collectively you want to handle. Right? So that provision also they have given. See, here you have to write like this, try except exception 1, exception 2, going on. So only those exceptions which are listed here are handled. Those which are not listed are not handled by this except block. Getting? Now yesterday about command line arguments we have seen. Yes or no? Just tell me. Yes. Yesterday I showed you how to handle command line arguments. Okay? So command line argument technique I have told you. So from command line two values I am giving, right? So first argument will be in argv1, argv2. I am converting it to integer, finding the quotient, printing, division, done. Now in this except block you can see only these 3 types of exceptions are handled. Now any exception which is other than this 3, if in your try block an exception occur but other than this 3, getting? Like 0 division error, value error and index error, other than this 3 occur, then this except won't handle. This except cannot take the care of those exceptions, because here you have listed only this 3. Clear? So that simple it is. Like for example, you can try doing this thing, like this 2 you put and this you don't put, and if index error occur, so it won't come here. Getting on? Clear? What I'll do is I'll create a file and I'll show you. Command line argument 1 I'll give. Try block a equal to int sys b. I'll collect, then I'll give just a print statement before division, then we will perform division and print the quotient, and again I'll give after division here, except, but in that suppose I'm handling value error and zero division error. Okay, clear? Zero division error. So here I'll give like error 1 suppose, and the other one I'll take care separately, like index error, where I'll just print error 2, and if you want I'll put a else block to tell that there is no problem. Getting? Like all is well. Okay? So now if your problem is related to value error or zero division error, error 1, and other than that then it will come here. Okay, and yesterday I told you how to run command line argument through idle. Here you have to give value, like suppose I'm giving 8 and 2, so everything is fine. So therefore before division, quotient, after division, and then else block. Getting? See, before division, quotient, after division, else block. Else block is run only when there is no problem. In a try block, if there is no problem occurred, then it runs which block? Else block. Now we will try to generate some errors like 8 only. I'm not giving the second one. 8 is given, the second is not given. So it will try to access that second value where it is not there. So it will generate index error. Getting? Therefore see, it is printing error 2. Index error is handled separately, right? And suppose I'm raising something related to value, or I'm giving 0, 8 and 0. So when I give 8, 0, so before division will occur. But when it tries to print the quotient, 0 division occur, it goes to appropriate except. See, before division, error 1. And suppose I write 0 and RAM, again error 1. Why? Because for conversion of RAM to integer, which error is going to come? Value error. And value error is also handled here only. So this except block is handling only these two exceptions. So when you tried to convert RAM to integer, it couldn't. Therefore, it raised value error and it has come here. And here when you tried to divide 8 by 0, so 0 division error occurred. That is also handled here. But when you didn't give value only at second position, so index error, but index error is not listed here, so it comes here, yes, so therefore it prints error. Okay? So I hope you got it. Concept is clear, right? And then one last facility, that is to a try block, you can even attach one finally block. Same like Java. Okay. So you can attach one finally block. Now that finally block will be run in any circumstances. It's not like else block. When is else block run? When your try block is run perfectly fine. Means in your try block there was no exception raised. Your try block is executed sequentially without any problem. So when the try block run without any problem, okay, so that time else block run. But in a try block, okay, in a try block, if there is a problem occurred, then it goes to catch block, except block. So that time it doesn't run which block? Else block. But finally is going to run in any circumstances. Let the problem occur or doesn't occur. At the end, it's going to run finally block. Getting clear? So always remember, when the problem occur, except block. When no problem occur, else block. And irrespective problem occur or doesn't occur, finally block is going to run finally at the end. At the end, it will run finally. Getting? See, the optional finally statement, right, which is used with the try statement, is executed no matter exception occurs or not. So to your try block at the end, if you want, you can attach finally. It's not mandatory that to every try except there has to be a finally block, and to every try except there has to be a else block. Else block and finally block, both are optional. But if there is a finally block, so it will be run in any circumstances, irrespective exception occur or exception doesn't occur. Getting? So which is used with the try except, and it is executed in any situation no matter exception occur or doesn't occur. So general syntax is like this: try, the code which you want to run, or the code on which you want to keep a spy or a watch or a monitoring you want to keep. If suppose it does any problem, so we want to keep a watch on that code. Except the code which is run if there is a problem. So in this code, the code which you are running, if there is a problem, except block run. So run this code if an exception occur. Now in your try block, no problem occur, then else run. So run this code if no exception occur. And this is finally, exception occur or doesn't occur, it is going to run finally. So always run this code. Getting on? So finally block runs irrespective the exception occur or doesn't occur. So always run this code. Right? Okay. So I hope finally concept you're understanding. Like suppose in this code only, or okay, I'll write some other code. We have been taking the same standard code of dividing A by B. See, this only I'll take. So here I've written enter A, enter B before division. Okay, then except block I'll write. I'll just give error occurred. Then I'll put a else block. And then I'll put a finally block where I'm just writing always executed. Right? Now see, if I'm giving value 8, then 2, everything is fine. 8 is converted to integer, 2 converted to integer, before division, 8 by 2, 4, after division, everything is fine. So it will run else block, all is well, and still it will run always executed. That is finally. See, before division, quotient, after division, as there was no problem, else block, and still it has run finally. And suppose if we generate some problem, like I'm giving 8 and then 0, so 8 and 0, is the error going to occur before division? 8 by 0, 0 division error, control will come to accept, error occurred it will tell, and still it will run finally. ठीक है? Enter. See. Has it given before division? Then 8 by 0 error is going to come. Therefore, the control come to accept block. It gives error occurred, and after that also it has executed finally. So, in short, just what from this syntax I want to tell you is that finally is run in any circumstances. Like suppose sometimes if you write this whole try except in a function, suppose this whole thing you have written in a function, and suppose in an except block you have written a return statement, return. So what will happen, the code which is after this try finally, that won't run, but finally will run. Getting? What I'll do is I'll create one function def f, and inside this function I'll put this try except. Getting? And here what I'll do is in except block I'll put a return statement. Getting? And after the try except also I'm putting some statement called bye bye. Okay? And the function is over. Now we'll call the function. Now when I'll call the function, it will come here, it will accept two values. Now before division, if suppose there is a problem, so it will come to accept block. It will run error occurred. Okay, but it won't run bye bye, but still it will run finally. Getting? Suppose I'm giving value 8 and 2. So no issues, no? Everything is fine. 8 and 2. So before division, quotient, after division, as there was no problem, else block, all is well, finally, and then bye bye. You can see that bye bye is executed. Why? Because it has not come in except block. So it will run this whole thing, else block, finally block, this thing. Now suppose we'll raise an issue. See, is it running by any means finally? That's what I wanted to say. 8 and 0 before division take place, but 8 by 0, 0 division error comes in except block. It runs, error occurred. But after running error occurred, I have written return. So when I write return, the function is going to terminate. But though the function terminate, it doesn't forget to run finally and then go back to the caller. See, so it has run finally and then it goes back to the caller. Only this part it doesn't run. That is bye bye. Is it clear to you? Yes or no? So I hope you have made it clear that finally will run in any circumstances. But now if you forcibly kill your program, then it won't run. Like if you're killing the program by calling some system functions for exiting your code, so that time it won't run. But if you're returning from your back, so though you're returning, it won't forget to run finally and then return. Only the code after that is not executed. Getting? Okay, so please just give me confirmation if you have understood this thing. Okay?
Yes, clear.
See. So here it is clear to you. Different examples I have given. 8 and 0. So 0 division occur. So therefore it comes to error occurred and still it runs finally. And here there was no problem. 8 by 2. So quotient printed. And then also it goes to else and still it runs finally. Getting? Now coming to the next third combination. Now yesterday I told you there are 4 possibilities. I hope you remember, four possibilities I told, that exceptions are raised implicitly and handled implicitly. When PVM only raises the problem and PVM only takes care of that problem. Getting on? So yesterday few examples I gave, around 7-8 examples I gave, where exception was raised by PVM only and taken care by PVM only. Then we saw the second possibility, that is, exception is raised by PVM. PVM raises it, but handling, we do it, programmer, by writing a try except block. Isn't it? Now, the third situation we are going to discuss, that is, the exception is raised explicitly. Okay, and PVM takes care of it. But raising, who is going to do? We people. Programmer is going to raise it. And I told you the situation when there is a need to raise the exception explicitly. Do you remember that? When there is a need to raise the exception explicit.
No.
I told you. It's not like that. I told you yesterday. When there is a situation, when there is a need to raise the exception explicitly. When the exception is raised implicitly.
Whenever some code error or input error occurs.
No, but I told you like implicitly when it is raised. Implicit means PVM only when raises it. No, Akshay?
Yes, sir.
Huh. I told you when PVM raises the exception. When Python only raises exception. When I gave you all the four combinations yesterday on the slide, see, here I told you in this slide all the four possibilities I told. Exceptions are raised implicitly and they are handled also by the PVM. Then I said that it is raised by PVM, but programmer handle it by writing a try except block. Then I said कि we are raising it, but PVM handles it. And we only raise and we only handle it. Getting or no? So I said like if when PVM only raises the exception. Today also I told you. Now today when I took this situation where you wanted to collect the reference. See, I wanted to collect the reference of that exception. So that time also I was telling you that there are different types of what? Exceptions. And for each type of exception there is a corresponding class. So if the exception has occurred, so depending on its type, will it create an object of its corresponding class? So I have already told you that all the types of exceptions are already listed. Has PVM done the listing of all the types of problems? Yes or no? Yesterday
Yes.
when I took this situation, that time also I told you that all the problems, whatever possible problems are there, each and every problem listing Python has already done, and for every problem there is a corresponding class. Yes or no? And
Yes.
this listing also I told you, isn't it? For which situation what will occur. So has Python already done listing of all the types of problems?
Yes, listed.
Getting? So when the Python has done the listing of all problem, there are classes for each corresponding problem. So if this is problem 1, it is having corresponding class. Second problem, corresponding class. So are all the problems already listed, right? And each and every problem which is listed, there is a corresponding class. Now if your problem is not from the listed one, this also yesterday I have told you, clear? If you want, you can take the recording, you can again hear the recording, and in that recording again and again I have insisted that Python has already listed all the problems. Getting? And for every problem there is a corresponding class. And if the problem occurs from the listed one, then it will create an object of the corresponding class, okay, whenever the problem occur. But if your problem is not from the listed one, examples also I gave you. For example, I told, like, you're calculating salary and someone has given negative salary. Didn't I give this example? Yes, I have given it. Clear? I have given it because again and again I'm telling the same example in each batches. So it is already by heart, like, clear? I gave an example of salary negative or number of days for calculating salary. I told, like, someone enters 32, 33. So in that month, maximum 31. You cannot have more than that. Okay? Or you are entering email ID and in that at the rate is only not there. Many such examples I gave. So when your problem is not from the listed one, getting or no, then in that case, will PVM raise it on its own or we have to raise it explicitly?
We have to raise explicitly.
So when we raise problem explicitly, tell me the situation. When we have to raise the problem explicitly. When?
That time, sir, we have to handle the that exception.
No doubt, but my question is when we have to raise exception explicitly. My question is when do we raise exception explicitly? Still, you're not able to tell the answer. How come? Just now I told you, if your problem is,
Out of the listed problem.
then that's what I'm asking you. That simple answer it is. Clear? That is just the answer. That when your problem is not from the listed one, so Python has already done the listing of problems. Getting? All problems Python has already listed. Okay, if you are doing division by 0, so there is zero division error. If you are converting a string to integer, but it cannot convert it, so it will generate value error. Okay, type error, index error, key error, file not found error, module not found error. So all the possible problems which are there, Python has listed it. And if your problem is from the listed one, PVM will raise it. When PVM only will raise that problem when it is from the listed one. But if your problem is not from the listed one, then who has to raise the problem? Programmer. Clear? And how programmer will raise it, that is the next topic of discussion. Clear? That is using raise statement, which in Java we use throw statement. Like Java exception handling, if you have done, so in Java there is a throw statement. Yes or no? And in Java also, when we have to raise the exception, in Java, when we have to raise the exception, same situation. When the problem is not from the listed one. Getting or no? If your problem is not from the listed one, then who will raise it? We people will raise it by using raise statement. Clear? So please make it clear. So now again I am going to ask you. So when we have to explicitly raise the exception, when we have to explicitly raise the exception,
Developer can handle that exception.
Again, the same thing.
When the problem is out of the
Out of the
listed error.
Yes, clear, when the problem is out of the listed one. Getting? So if your problem is from the listed one, from all the listed problems, if your problem is one among that, there is no need for you to raise it. PVM will take care of it. Getting or no? You have given a list and you're accessing beyond the limit. Index error, value error. All these are the listed problem. And if the problem is from the listed one, PVM will raise. You want to handle, it's up to you by writing a try except. My question is exception to be raised by we people or not. So when PVM raises it, when the problem is from the listed one. But if your problem is not from the listed one, if it is not from that list of problem, then obviously who has to raise it? Programmer. And how programmer will raise it? By using a raise statement, which is equivalent to throw statement in other language. Like in some other language, there is a throw statement. Here it is a raise statement. Raise and then the object which you want to throw. Getting? But the object which you want to throw has to be from that exception family only, which I gave you. Yesterday, this hierarchy I gave you. Yes or no? So you can throw a object from this family or anyone which is derived from it. Means you can create your own class also, but that class should be derived from any of these classes. You understanding? Means it has to be from this family or derived from it. Agreed? So coming to the discussion, see, exceptions can be raised explicitly for user defined conditions. See, now these are the conditions which are not from the listed one. Like your email ID doesn't contain @ your salary is negative, or number of days entered greater than 31. So these are these problems from the listed problem? Not at all. You understanding or no? Like you have given a name and name contains digit. Okay, so these are not the listed problem. You understanding or no? So therefore, as they are not from the listed problem, obviously how PVM will raise it on its own? Yes or no? So you have to raise it by using raise statement. Now raise is also a flow transfer statement like break, continue, return. We have a break statement which come out of a for loop, while loop, or we have a continue statement which come to the beginning of the loop. We have a return statement which brings the control back to the caller. The same way raise statement is there. It will bring the control to the except block. Getting? So whenever you have a raise statement, okay, in a try block or without try also. If you don't write in try, handling PVM will do it. So if you are writing it within a try block, somewhere in the code, you are raising it. Raise and that object. But strictly the object should be of anyone from that family, remember, or derived from it. You cannot raise any object you want. Like here I'm creating an employee object, or I'm creating a customer object and I'm throwing it. It's not possible. If you want to throw the customer object or an employee object or a pizza object or a burger object, all they should be derived from that family. The hierarchy which I gave you yesterday. Clear? Okay. So that is the problem of online classes. Online classes, you cannot concentrate at one place. At a time you do lot of other multiple activities. Right? So try. Now in a try, raise occur. So raise statement. Now try block is going on, and the moment raise statement occur, the flow transfer is going to take place. Means the control will be transferred from that point to accept. And then if accept want to receive the reference of this object, it can, which I gave you today. Getting? And suppose I am just writing raise, but I am not writing try except. So who will handle it? PVM. So that is the 4 situations I gave you. You didn't took seriously that 4 situations. I gave you 4 situations. Raised implicit, handled implicit. Raised implicit, handled explicit. Explicit raised, implicit handled. And explicit raised, explicit handled. So till this statement I covered the 2 situations. First situation, raised implicit, raised handled also implicit. Whenever I write here the statement 5 by 0, getting? Now who has raised it? PVM only, and PVM only has taken care of it. Here, did we took the care of it? No. PVM raised, PVM handled it. Then I taught you about try except block. So using try except block, we saw how to handle it explicit, but raised implicit only. PVM only raised it, but we handled it in a try except. And this is the third situation which I am telling, that is, we are going to raise it. Okay, and if you write try except, then you are only handling it. And if you don't write try except, then you are raising only, but handled by PVM. Clear? Okay, so I hope the situation is clear to you. So always whenever the raise statement comes, the control is directly transferred from that point to accept. The control comes from that point to accept, and in accept, whatever logic is will run. Getting or no? And if that accept block wants to receive the reference of this object, it can receive. I told you exception as and then the variable. Clear? So you know it. See, the exceptions can be raised explicitly for user defined conditions by raise statement. And user defined conditions means these are the conditions not from the listed one. I told you. So is the problem from the listed one? No. So if it is not from the listed one, then we have to raise it. Get it? See, syntax is like that. Raise, then whichever exception class object you are creating, you create it, and to its constructor you can pass some string, and this string only is described over there. Whenever the problem come, now you can see this. Is the description coming here? Is this description coming? 0 by division by 0. This is the description which is actually passed to the constructor of that class. That class constructor. And that description what is given to the constructor, that is only displayed by the dunder method. That is _str_. See, everyone is having their own description. Like int ram when I write. So value error. So this is the description coming. So actually this description is passed to the constructor of that value error. Getting? Or many other situations, like you have created a equal to a list, and now you are writing a of 5. So it generates an index error. So this is the description which is going to the constructor of that index error. And whatever description is gone to the constructor, the same description your dunder method displays on the monitor. Getting? So when you will raise, you also will pass the message to the constructor. Getting? One simple example I'll take to explain the illustration of raising exception explicitly. But I'm raising explicit but not handling explicit. Handling PVM will do, and then later I'll tell you how we also can handle it. I'll give exception 1, suppose. I'm writing a try block. Okay, I'm accepting one input from the user. No, I don't want to write it with try initially, because initially I want to tell you we are going to raise it but handle PVM. Okay, enter n, suppose. Now what I am going to do is I'm going to check whether n is even. Clear? So what I have done, if n modulo 2 is 0. If it is even, so I am going to raise name error suppose, and to its constructor I'll pass like, okay, what I'm going to pass, see, person D is even. This is the message I'm passing. Okay, n will get substituted there, and is even. This is the string which is passed to the name error constructor, and the object of name error is created. You understanding or no, my dear student? Whenever you write class name round bracket, so according to Python, object is created of that class. Yes or no? So object of name error is created. In Python, how do we create an object? Just in the previous chapter we have done with OP. Whenever I write any class name round bracket, the object of that class is created and the constructor is called. The object of name error is created, and to the constructor this string is passed. Now you'll say, what is the use of this string? So this string only is displayed when this object goes to print, and then the dunder method is called, and that dunder method describes this message only. Getting? And else, suppose I'm raising value error, and here I'm writing person D is odd. Okay, now in this case, see, if you give the input as, now I will assume that we are going to give valid number, we are going to give number only. Okay, so if the number is even, it will raise name error, and if it is odd, it will raise value error. You understanding? Means it is going to create an object of class name error, and to its constructor it has passed this message. Value error, to its constructor it has passed this message. Now you have raised it, but who will take care of it? PVM, because you haven't returned try except. So who will take the care of this exception? Okay, PVM will take. Now see, I'm running it, I'm giving some value, like suppose I'm giving even. Okay, so will it raise name error? See, is it raising name error? But who has raised it, but who has handled it? Tell me, raising who has done? We people. But who has handled it? PVM. And when PVM handle it, it gives this description. Why? Because PVM has passed that object to print, and then print calls the dunder method. And dunder method gives the same string which you have passed to the constructor. So to the constructor you have given that person D is even, that is 6 is even. Can you see the same description come when PVM raises? Same if I run this and give odd value. Okay, suppose 7. So now it has raised which error? Value error. And then the description come. Getting on? Clear? But here in both situation, who has handled this problem? PVM. But raising who has done? We people. Now in this program only, if you want to raise and you only want to handle it, so obviously you will write it in a try except block. Clear? Here I'll write except exception as E, and if you want to ask that to print. Okay? Now in this case, who will take care of it? You people, because you have written a try except block. And who will only raise it? PVM only. Sorry, explicitly programmer. So programmer is raising and you are only handling it. This is the last situation. The 4 possibilities which I told you. Getting on? See, now if I run it, I give odd value, it will raise value error, but it will go to that except only. You're getting? 9 is odd. Because you have passed that object to print. As you have passed that object to print, print will call its dunder method, and dunder method returns the string which you have given to the constructor. Getting? See, if you are giving even, it will raise name error. But name error also is raised, it will go to the same except block. Then you are passing the object to print. There the dunder method is called. Dunder method will return that object's string which is passed to the constructor. That is, it is even. Getting? But now in this situation, in this whole program, you might have observed that you are raising it, you are handling it, no doubt. Previously, I didn't wrote try except, so you were just raising and PVM was handling. But one weird thing you might have seen it, that the condition is user defined. This is your user defined condition. Yes or no? But the exception which is raised is predefined. You understanding or no? Is the problem from the listed one? Tell me, is this problem, my number is even or my number is odd? So number is even and odd. These are my problem. So are they from the listed one? Yes or no, guys?
Means name error and value error are the listed one from TVM, right?
No, but
We
they are the
explicitly
one which I have
have it.
raised.
Yeah,
But the condition for which I am raising,
it
is
is.
it
Yeah, it's not.
not? I mean, that's what I am asking. The condition for which I am raising the exception is not the listed condition. Actually, tell me when name error occurs, when you are trying to access a object where object is not present. Yes or no? See, if I'm trying to print the value of some variable y, but y is not there only, then it raises name error. Right? When does it generate a value error? When you are trying to convert some string to integer and it cannot convert it, so it raises value error. So are the purpose of these exceptions different? When a name error purpose is different, value error is different, means they are all pre-decided. So you can see it looks funny also, weird also, that you are raising a predefined exception for your user defined condition. What is my point? To tell you that the condition is user defined, but you are raising which problem? The predefined problem. You understanding or no? So in short, it is totally not to the principle. Python doesn't generate any problem. Python says you raise any type of problem. But principally, if you see it, it looks so funny that, funny also, it is not correct in a principal point of view, that your exception is user defined. That is, the condition is not from the listed one, and you are raising the problem which is from the listed one. Getting or no? Yes or no? So if suppose like you are walking on the road and suddenly rain start, so to handle it you have to open umbrella. Getting? Like suppose you start opening a fire extinguisher, so it is wrong. Now what is use of starting a fire extinguisher? If there is a fire, then to start spraying fire extinguisher is okay. Getting or no? So the problem is the condition is even or odd, and you are raising something different exception only. So therefore, to overcome this problem, Python says create your own exceptions according to your conditions. Whatever your conditions are, according to the condition, create your own exceptions. Getting? And raise those exceptions. That is called raising user defined exceptions, which Java also has given. This technique of exception handling is exactly like Java. In short, Java people have taken it from here. Rather, you should say like that. Clear? So in Java also exact same concept are there, and I hope you all are already familiar. I hope you people are working in Java. Like, okay? So exception handling technique, the same thing. There instead of raise we write throw, and there also if you throw some predefined one, so it is allowed. But again, as I said, it is totally against the principle. Interpreter doesn't complain. Syntactically there is no problem. But principle wise, it is something wrong. Your condition is even and you are raising name. Suppose, for example, here you are checking the salary, and if the salary is negative, you are raising zero division error. Don't you think it will look so funny? कि the condition is salary negative and the problem raised is zero division error. Getting? So to overcome this, what is the solution which I told you? Means this is actually not a problem, but a good practice is कि when the condition is user defined, the problem raised also should be user defined. Getting? Means the exception class which you are raising should be also what? User defined. It should not be from the listed one. Getting or no? Clear? So is it clear to you? Just please give me the confirmation.
Yes, sir.
Sure? Okay. See, this is an example. Here I am accepting n. If my n is 0, I am raising value error. And if it is even, I am raising name error. It comes to the respective except. If it is value error, it will come here even. If it is name error, it will come here odd. But in this whole case, you can realize that you are raising the predefined exceptions for user defined condition. Getting? So condition is user defined, but the problem raised from the listed one, which should not be. Clear? Okay. So in such situation, what we have to do now in the both program, here I have passed something to the constructor. Here I didn't pass it. Getting? So both way you can do, which I showed you. This concept now, just now I showed you. Illustration I gave you. Getting? So therefore, to handle that, what we have to do, we have to create our own exceptions. But whenever you will create your custom exception, so you will create your own exception class, but still you have to put it into that family. Without that, you cannot throw. PVM will raise a error. Okay, it's an invalid exception. You cannot raise such exception. Means you can create a class, throw the object of the class, but that class should be part of this hierarchy. Getting? Means you have to create your own exception and derive from any one of this family. Getting? So generally we derive from exception. From exception we derive our exception and do the work. Getting? Clear? I'll take a simple example of it. For example, the same I'll take. Okay, see, first I'll create my exception classes. So class, I'm giving name to it as even error. Okay, and it is derived from exception. You can leave it empty also if you want, or if you want to give some string for the description, so you can write your parameterized constructor. Getting? So you are creating your own class even error. This is your class, but I have put it into that exception family by deriving it from exception class. Then I'm adding one constructor, which is actually not mandatory, but if you want to give some description also, so you can pass one string over here. Okay? So this is one argument constructor, def. I hope this is a constructor. This you know now. In the previous chapter we have discussed in Python, how do we indicate it's a constructor? So this is the constructor. S is one string passed. What I'll do is I'll give the same string to its parent constructor. Getting? So how do I call parent constructor? By writing super dot double underscore init double underscore s. Here you don't have to write self because this super already gives you the parent object dot parent constructor and pass this string. What parent constructor will do, it will take this string and keep it in its some data member. In its data member, it will preserve it. And it will give this string when the object is passed to print. And print calls the dunder method. And dunder method returns the same string. Getting? Now suppose I am creating one more class called as odd error, which is also derived from exception. In that too, I'm adding one constructor. Clear? Super. And I'm passing the same string to parent constructor. Getting or no? Whatever string has come to my constructor, the same I'm giving to its parent constructor. Now this way I've created my own custom classes. These are the custom exceptions. Now I'm accepting one integer from the user. Okay, I'm checking whether n is even. Yes. So I'm going to raise now my exception, even error. So here what I am doing is I'm creating an object of my class. I hope you know in Python there is no concept called new like Java. Here if you want to create an object of a class, just write class name round bracket. Object of that class is created and the constructor is called. Now to the constructor I'm passing one string. See, %d is even %n. That n is substituted. Else I'm raising odd error. %d is odd. %n. Clear? Okay. Done. And then I'll come to except block. Except. Suppose you want to handle them separately. Even error separately, odd error separately, you can. Or you want to collect it in one common exception only, will do. If I pass that print e, so it will obviously call its dunder method. Now you'll say e will be the object of any of these two, and that class doesn't have dunder. No problem. The parent is having the dunder method. Get it? Okay. So now it is clear to you. Now suppose if I give input even, so it will create an object of which class? Even error. And then it will throw that object. Means the control will come here and this object reference come in E. And you pass E to print. Print will call that strdunder method. Strdunder method will return the same string which you have passed to the constructor. Whatever you have passed to the constructor, the same string it will return. And same is the case for odd. Okay? See, we will execute it depending on the input. Like suppose 8. Has it raised even error? And whatever is passed to the constructor, that is getting printed. If I give input odd, it has raised odd error. But at least in this case, what is to the principal? Can you tell me? Means according to the principal, what it is following?
We writing our own handling our exception.
Okay. Means you want to say that you are handling your own exception, meaning you are raising your exception based on your custom condition.
Custom condition.
Whatever your custom condition is, according to that you are raising your error. Means for your condition you are not raising a predefined error, which I did it in the previous program. So in the previous program it was so wrong, it was not at all to the principle that the condition is custom, that is user defined, but the error raised is predefined, which is totally against the principle. Syntactically it is valid, no problem. But raising a value error and a name error, because value error work is for different purpose, name error is for different purpose. So their purpose is already decided and you're calling it for something else only. So it is wrong. And for that we can create custom exception. Getting? See, that's what I have clarified here. It is not wise to raise predefined exceptions. Predefined means the listed exceptions. So it is not wise to raise predefined exception for user defined conditions. Means if your conditions are programmer decided, So for that programmer decided condition, raising predefined exception is not correct. Syntactically it is okay, it will raise also, but as I said, it is not wise. So for this, Python allows you to create your own exception and then raise your own exceptions for your user defined conditions. Getting? So here see, I've created one even error class derived from exception. I've created one constructor, one argument. The same argument I'm giving to parent constructor. One more exception which is derived again from exception. Its constructor which is giving call to its parent constructor. And now see, I'm accepting an input. Then if it is even, then I'm raising even exception. And if it is odd, I'm raising odd exception. To the constructor, I'm passing some string. And the same string dunder method returns. When you pass this object to print, print will give here, there is a call to the magic method _str, and that _str will return the same string which is given to the constructor. Getting? Depending on the input. If it is 5, if it is 8, so it's odd. The odd exception is raised. If it is 5, even exception is raised. Clear? Yes or no? So in short, always remember when to go for custom exceptions. Who will tell me in one line? When we have to define custom exceptions.
Whenever there is a exception which we need to handle for our custom condition.
Okay. Means when you want to handle
Uh,
your
Custom exception for
problem.
our custom conditions, which and
Yes.
those exception are not listed in the list.
Yes. Meaning that is you want to handle your user defined condition.
Yeah.
So when to handle user defined condition, raising predefined exception is, as I said, not wise. It is funny कि you are raising predefined, and for what purpose you are raising predefined? For your conditions. So wrong. So that time raise custom exceptions. Okay. ठीक है. So concept is clear. And then coming to the last concept, that is assert. Okay. Now what does assert do? That I'll tell you. My assert statement. Now assert also in Java you have studied, I'm sure, because Java also supports this assert statement. Assert is like a debug statement. Means actually assert is not used in a development in a production stage. Means when your program is perfectly fine now, it is perfectly running and now it is to be distributed. So that stage it is not used. As I said, it is at a development stage. Just you want to do check at every point. Means in your code, at appropriate point you want to do the check. And if my condition is satisfied, it should allow you to go ahead. But if my condition is not coming true, it should halt the program there only. Getting? So at appropriate point, I want to put checks. Okay? And if the checks are passed, it should allow you to go ahead. Same like hurdle races are there. Hurdle race concept is there. Or when you play games, I'm sure cell phone games and all these games you play. So there also you clear the levels and then you get the entry to the next level. Right? So you have different codes and you want that the next code should run only when this condition is satisfied. So if my condition is true, it should allow you to proceed ahead. If no, here only the program should halt. Again, after proceeding ahead, there is some further more code and you want again some condition is to be tested. If this condition is true, it will allow you to go ahead. No, the program is halted. So at appropriate point, you want to put a checks. And if the checks are satisfied, it should allow to go ahead to run the code. No, then halt it. So then we use this assert statement. Getting? So assert whenever come, it will raise assertion error. Assert statement always raises assert assertion error. Assertion error is also part of your family. Getting this hierarchy? Getting on? Now, how to use this assert? See, assert, there are two variations of it, assert and a condition, and second is assert, condition and colon, you can give some message over here. Clear? So now, if suppose during execution the condition is tested, and if this condition comes out to be false, then it will raise assertion error. Okay? And once the assertion error is raised, PVM will handle it. But when PVM gives the description, in that description this message will come. Meaning, in short, this message is passed to the constructor of assertion error class. Assertion error class object is created, and that object constructor, this message is passed. And if you don't give, no message is printed. Only it will give assertion error occurred. But after that, after colon, some description come, which you see it in normal case also. See, after colon some description come, after colon description, so that won't come. And if you give this message, it will come. So actually this message, it will be passing internally to that assertion error class object. Okay. So the condition, if true, it will not raise it. It will allow you to run the next code. Getting? That simple the concept is. Okay. See. So it is used like a debugging tool, which helps in smooth flow of code. Means like at every point you want to keep a check, and if the check is satisfied, it should allow you to go ahead. Like as I said, like hurdles crossed, or when you are playing game, so if you cross the level, then you get then some features are opened for you in the next level. Same way. Clear? Used to keep check at appropriate point in the code. If the condition is false, okay, it should not allow you to go ahead. So if your condition comes out to be false, it will raise assertion error, and if it is true, it will allow you to proceed further. Okay? Two ways you can use it. Actually, I wrote colon, it is comma. Why? Because I am again with the Java language in this, so sometimes it happens like that. Sometimes the syntax of Java come into brain, but I clarified. I never give you wrong information. Getting? Because on the slide everything is provided to you, the correct syntax. Like in Java we write colon, here it is comma. See. So now during execution, if the assert statement checks the condition, if the condition comes out to be true, no problem, it will allow you to proceed further. But if it is false, it will raise assertion error. Okay, and the handling is done by the PVM. And if PVM handle, so you want some description to come after that colon, then give this message. Getting? See. So it will test for the condition, this assert condition. If the condition is false, execution is stopped and assertion error is raised. But if the condition is true, it will allow you to run the next line code, whatever the next code is. Okay, example I have written. See, assert 2 equal to 3. So is 2 equal to 3 true? 2 equal to 3 true? No. So assertion error is raised. Suppose I would have given some message, so that message is printed. See. What I'll do is I'll take one assert example. Okay. What I am going to do is I am going to accept one input from the user. Then I want to confirm that the number is greater than 100 only. unless and until it is greater than 100, I don't want the process to proceed. It should not proceed ahead. So I'm writing assert n greater than 100. And then I'm giving a message also. Okay? Person D is not greater than 100. Okay? And if it is, then we will display the message, whatever the given input is. Okay? So I am giving that whatever input is, that I am displaying it. Now when we'll run this, see, we'll run the module. We are giving input. Like suppose I have given 123. So 123 is greater than 100. So no problem. So it will proceed further and give you the output. Given input is 123. But now if I give input which is less than 100, okay, 45. See, does it raise assertion error? And who has taken care of it? PVM. So PVM raised it, and whatever message you had written, that actually is gone to this assertion error constructor, and then that only is passed to print. So print calls the dunder method and it gives this.